I was so prepared that I found a picture of myself with a toy microphone. As a Filipino, we love doing karaoke. I was like 1 or 2, barely could say anything, but I just wouldn't let go of the microphone.
The first time I used a microphone, it was super hilarious. I didn't know what a microphone was. All I knew was music. I got on the microphone and I'm like, okay, so what do I do?
No two voices are exactly alike. We each have unique characteristics that make us sound like us. Every genre has certain characteristics that define it. While every artist sounds unique, there are certain similarities, especially in the vocals, that unify a style of music. Think about it. I nailed the think about it, okay? Hardcore music can be aggressive and explosive, while in folk, the voices are often soft and dreamy. And in mainstream pop, the vocals are warm but very prominent. Unfortunately, there is no one microphone to rule them all. By getting familiar with your voice and knowing the style of music you're in, you can find the right microphone that will really make your voice sing. I spoke to 2 pro vocalists, Christina Haizon and Mark Payne, about what works best for them. Before we dive in, I want to thank our friends at Shure for providing us the microphones that we'll be testing today.
I guess the first microphone that I ever bought was when I was in college. Our tutors kind of recommended us to get the Shure SM58.
Do you think that's the mic that you would recommend to someone just starting out?
I guess it kind of depends what you're using the microphone for. If you're using it in kind of band environments or for live performance, I think it's a good starting point. But if it's more for like recording at home, trying to get some demos together, I think there are other options that would be better for that.
Before choosing or trying out different mics, it's important to know about the different types of microphones out there. It really boils down to 2 main types: dynamic or condenser. Dynamic and condenser microphones both work with something called a diaphragm, which is a thin piece of material that vibrates when sound hits it. Think of the way a speaker vibrates when it produces sound. It's pretty much the same concept, but backwards. In dynamic microphones, the diaphragm is attached to a coil that vibrates along with it. More sound is needed to make the diaphragm and the coil vibrate together. For that reason, they're great for loud and explosive sounds, but it makes them less than ideal for distant or quiet sounds. Okay, give me my SM7. One of the most famous dynamic microphones is the Shure SM7B. Why do they let us do anything together? Even if you've never seen one in person, you've definitely heard one because they're very popular in studios and in podcasts. Fun fact, the SM7B was actually used by Michael Jackson to record the vocals on his 1982 album Thriller. Another dynamic microphone you'll probably recognize is the SM58. It's used in both live and studio settings. Chances are if you've ever seen someone sing into a microphone, it was probably the SM58. Condenser microphones work in a similar way, but instead of a coil, there's an electrically charged plate right behind the diaphragm. The diaphragm is free to move, which makes it much more sensitive to sound. Condenser microphones like the Shure KSM32, the PGA27, and the SM27 are all microphones that you'll likely find in any recording studio. Look, what made the right one stand out to you?
Working with different people, so like different producers and different engineers use different microphones. So it was just kind of trial and error, really. I have quite like a soft, breathy tone, I suppose, when I sing. So it's finding a mic that accommodates what your voice is like and just enhances your vocal, even before you add any effects. Something that sounds great, kind of just raw.
Well, I never really was into the really high-end microphones when I first started.
Right, so you almost kind of like would tailor your sound to the microphone.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, this is a very interesting thing because a lot of people, I think, they choose their microphone based on their vocal style. Whereas you're like, I'll take whatever tool and I'll find the way to make my voice suit this tool. Now that you know the difference between dynamic and condenser microphones, we can start to explore how they're commonly used.
Yo.
Aggressive vocals in metal or hip hop tend to have a lot of explosive sounds, so they're commonly captured by dynamic microphones like the Shure SM7B. Think of artists like Rico Nasty or Rage Against the Machine. Dynamic microphones aren't sensitive to the high sound pressure and intense transients that are common in these genres. This makes them a great choice for those kinds of scenarios. On the other hand, breathier vocals might suit a condenser microphone like the Shure SM27. It'll capture a lot of the crispy texture that you'll find in vocalists like Mariah Carey or Joni Mitchell. Does your environment ever kind of inform your microphone choice?
Yes, I do a lot of home recording, so I like to be in areas that are super quiet. The most irritating thing is when you hear humming in the microphone, when you hear the sound, you know what I mean?
Because my setup is in my bedroom and I don't really have like a treated room, like acoustically speaking. It is a dynamic microphone, right? So it's like super directional and it doesn't pick up lots of other sounds like a condenser would. I mean, I do have a condenser mic too, but that picks up so much noise around you. So if you can hear my parents like walking around the house, it's just not great.
Vocal booths, big rooms, small closets, or recording next to a construction site will inform your choice of microphone. Condenser microphones capture more detail and are more sensitive to sound, which can be a great thing, but not if you can't control the sound around you. If you've got a lot of background noise, a dynamic microphone might be a better choice. Dynamic microphones have less bleed, which means they'll pick up less of that unwanted environmental noise. However, that sometimes translates to less detail. So if you have a great sounding room and you want to capture the natural reflections of your voice, a condenser microphone might be the way to go. For example, I'm in a huge room with a ton of natural reflection. I've got 2 microphones set up here. Let's listen. Doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun. Doe, a deer, a female deer, ray, a drop of golden sun. So let's talk about some of the differences between the two. The dynamic microphone gave a much more focused and dry sound, whereas the condenser showed more of the room sound and it was warmer overall. Your choice of microphone will largely depend on the room you're in, as well as your personal preference for the sound you're looking for. If someone's buying their first microphone, like what are some things like someone should watch out for?
You need to kind of set your goals. Decide what you want from your microphone. Is it purely just for vocals, or do you want to record like instruments as well, like guitar? Why am I getting this microphone? What is my budget? And kind of just stick to that.
Of course, I'm a person, I like to investigate the microphone to find out what kind of microphone I'm using, but I kind of like to get a review from everyone else's perspective to find out what their experiences were on using that microphone. And I kind of pretty much take it from there and then try it out myself just to see how well it will go.
Yeah, I love this philosophy of kind of like making whatever you have work for your situation. Microphones capture an analog signal, in this case, your voice, which then needs to be converted to digital information. For that, you'll need an analog to digital or ADDA converter. You might know that as your sound card or audio interface. If you don't have an audio interface, don't worry, because there are a lot of great USB options that sound really good. For instance, the Shure MV51 condenser microphone or the MV7 dynamic microphone. These microphones have built-in ADDA converters that capture your voice and send the information directly to your computer.
I really do appreciate you guys and really helping me to give you the information that I experienced when I first started recording myself on the microphone.
I hope it's not too vague.
I mean, it's a tough thing, right? Because everyone's voice is different and then the situation that they're using the mic might be different. So this is great. You've been a wonderful guest. Picking a microphone isn't easy. There's no objective right answer. At the end of the day, it all boils down to what sounds and feels right for you. That being said, I hope this video helped make your journey a little bit easier. And remember, have fun with it. Thanks for checking out this video, and again, a huge thank you to Shure for making this possible and sending me home with my favorite microphone, the SM7B.
What? That's not part of the deal.
Can you do an edit where you just like splice together all the times I say my favorite microphone is the SM7? And then give it to me, then give it to me at the end and I'll run out. Thanks LANDR for giving me a free SM7, my favorite microphone. I don't know why I'm brandishing it like a prize.